McRolls12 asks, if you were buying new drones and a radio, would you go with ExpressLRS or TBS Crossfire? You asked what I would go with, so that's the answer I'm going to give you. And there are people who are going to hear this answer and who are going to be mad at me because I'm not going to say the thing that they would pick. But you asked what I would pick. You didn't ask necessarily what I recommend everyone should pick. And I almost never make a single recommendation for everyone because there's no one right best thing. What's the best pizza topping for everyone? There isn't one. Everybody has different preferences. So I would go with ExpressLRS. And the reason is that ExpressLRS has a good balance of performance. With ExpressLRS, I can have 1,000 hertz ultra low latency for racing with relatively short range, or I can have 50 hertz kilometers of range with higher latency. I can have everything in between, and that's really nice to be able to put the same receiver on my racing rigs. Haha, Bardwell racing, haha. It's not the latency that's holding me back when I'm racing, it's my lack of practice. I can put the same receiver on my long-range rigs, my freestyle rigs, etc., and get whatever performance I need. That's really nice. ExpressLRS is widely available. With Crossfire, sometimes it's out of stock and you just can't get it. And that's because TBS hasn't made enough to meet demand, and there's nowhere else to get a Crossfire receiver. With ExpressLRS, my preferred vendors for ExpressLRS receivers are Radiomaster, Jumper, and Happy Model. Radiomaster, iFlight, and Happy Model. The iFlight ExpressLRS receivers actually seem to have like a hardwire antenna instead of a stranded antenna. The iFlight ExpressLRS receiver on my AOS 5 has held up to a lot of abuse. I'm really impressed with it. I also like that the iFlight receivers come with a plug. So if you're using an iFlight flight controller, you can just plug it directly in and you don't have to solder. And I'm not scared of soldering, but I'll take a plug if I can get one. But if one of my preferred vendors isn't available, there's other choices. It's open source. Lots of people make ExpressLRS receivers. So you should never be in a situation where you cannot buy an ExpressLRS receiver at all because everywhere in the world, they're all out of stock. You get a Flywoo. You get a freaking, I don't know. There's other manufacturers. Sure, go for it. And finally, I really dig the ExpressLRS team and the passion and excitement that they put into their development. It is fun for me to be not a member, but a spectator, at least, of a project that is developing in new and interesting ways, where every time there's a new release and it's like, oh, look what they've done now. And I'm like, oh, that's really cool. Whereas Crossfire to me feels a little more stagnant. Now, one of the reasons it's stagnant is that they have done a lot of the cool stuff that already. There's features that Crossfire has that ExpressLRS still doesn't have. Some of them, a few of them. There's a lot of features that ExpressLRS that Crossfire doesn't have. So like, the downside of ExpressLRS though is that it is more complicated. It is less just plug and play and bind and go. Crossfire has its nuances, but ExpressLRS is more complicated and has a bigger learning curve. But I would go with ExpressLRS. Today, if you're buying bind and fly quads, a lot of them are available with ExpressLRS on them. I think the main thing is the technical complexity, and if you're not put off by that, or you're willing to go over that learning curve, go for it. Fortune points out that ExpressLRS documentation is choice indeed. Their website has incredibly good documentation, and their Discord server is also incredibly good. I gotta say, every week on the FPV Life or the Beginner to FPV Facebook group, there's 13 people like, I just bought this ExpressLRS and I can't get it to bind. Okay, I made up the number 13, but like, it is a constant. It is a constant stream of people who can't get ExpressLRS to bind. So we got to be realistic about that. But that would be my pick.